In a world where every word can be a weapon, silence becomes your greatest ally. Have you ever noticed how some people seem intent on testing your limits, challenging your patience and respect? They throw out disguised provocations as if waiting for your reaction. But what if I told you that true control lies in not reacting? Respect is earned when you refuse to be an easy target. Imagine yourself as an unshakable rock while the waves of provocation attempt to knock you down. The key to true emotional strength is strategic coolness. Instead of yelling or fighting back, remain calm and let silence do the work. When you remain unperturbed, the other person becomes destabilized. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." From now on, your reactions will no longer dictate your value. You will value yourself and show that you are not here to be manipulated. Take a deep breath, maintain a firm posture, and make it clear that your peace is not for sale. The respect you seek begins with the decision to accept nothing less, and this decision must be evident in every gesture you make. Step 1. Identifying people who test limits. In our daily lives, it's common to encounter individuals who seem to have a special talent for testing our limits. These are the ones who, subtly or directly, seek to find out how far they can push us. It might be a coworker who makes jokes at your expense, a friend who shows up unannounced, or even a family member who disregards your preferences. Often these people don't intend to cause harm. They simply fail to realize that their actions can be invasive and disrespectful. Identifying these individuals is the first step in protecting your personal space. Pay attention to how you feel around them. If you often feel uncomfortable, anxious, or pressured, it may be a sign that they are testing your limits. It's important to observe not only what they say, but also how they act. A person who ignores your requests for space or insists on discussing topics you'd rather avoid is a clear indicator that they are crossing boundaries. Additionally, the body language of these individuals can reveal a lot. Often their behavior, even without words, suggests that they are disregarding your needs. Disinterested glances, forced laughter, or even a dismissive tone are signs that they are not taking you seriously. Stay alert to these signals. They are crucial for recognizing who truly respects you. Another point to consider is the history of your interactions. If you notice that a person repeatedly ignores your limits, it's time to take action. This isn't about being confrontational, but rather about being assertive. Clearly communicating what you consider acceptable and what you do not can help establish mutual understanding. After all, no one should tolerate behaviors that make them feel uncomfortable. Finally, remember that identifying those who test limits is a skill that develops over time. As you become more aware of your own needs and boundaries, it becomes easier to perceive who is willing to respect them and who is not. This clarity is essential for cultivating healthy and balanced relationships. Step 2. Consequences of lacking personal boundaries. When we fail to establish boundaries, the consequences can be deep and lasting. The absence of personal limits can lead to accumulated stress and a feeling of being overwhelmed. Many people end up feeling drained, lacking energy, and even anxious, as they struggle to say no to requests or situations they don't wish to face. This emotional overload can reflect in all areas of life, from work to personal relationships. Moreover, a lack of boundaries can lead to resentment. When you constantly give in to the demands of others, you may start to feel that your own needs are not valued. This can create a vicious cycle of discontent. Instead of feeling satisfied with your choices, you might end up feeling trapped and lacking control over your own life. This resentment can manifest in arguments, distancing, and even the breakdown of relationships. Another side effect is the potential to become a target for manipulative individuals. Those who take advantage of others' inability to set boundaries can become more insistent in their demands. This can lead to abusive situations, where you find yourself constantly doing what others want, without considering your own desires and needs. It's a scenario that can be exhausting and detrimental to mental health. The lack of boundaries can also impact self-esteem. When you don't prioritize yourself, you may start to doubt your worth. You might think that you don't deserve to have your needs met, or that your feelings aren't valid. This can create a cycle of self-criticism and insecurity, making it even harder to establish boundaries in the future. Low self-esteem can become a barrier, preventing you from asserting yourself in relationships. Lastly, the consequences of lacking personal boundaries can extend to physical health. Emotional stress can manifest in physical symptoms such as headaches, gastrointestinal issues, and even more serious illnesses. Neglecting your own needs can result in a continuous state of tension, that affects not only your emotional well-being but also your overall health. Therefore, it is essential to recognize the importance of protecting yourself and establishing clear boundaries. Step 3. The importance of posture and nonverbal communication. The way we present ourselves to the world goes far beyond the words we choose. Posture and nonverbal communication play a crucial role in how we are perceived by others. When we communicate, our body speaks as much as, if not more than, our words. A confident posture can convey security and authority, while a closed-off posture may suggest insecurity or disinterest. When interacting with others, it's essential to be aware of how our body language can influence the message we are trying to convey. If you're trying to establish boundaries but your posture is timid or hesitant, your intentions may not be taken seriously. Therefore, adopting an open and firm posture is critical to ensuring that your communication is effective. This includes maintaining eye contact, using gestures that emphasize what is being said, and avoiding crossing your arms, which can indicate defensiveness. Additionally, nonverbal communication can be a powerful ally in reinforcing what is being said verbally. When your words and actions are aligned, people tend to trust you more. On the other hand, if you say one thing but your body language conveys another, it can lead to confusion and distrust. It's important to be coherent. This helps build healthier and more respectful relationships. Another interesting point is that nonverbal communication can be strategically utilized in challenging situations. For example, if you encounter someone testing your limits, adopting an assertive posture can discourage them. By maintaining an upright and confident stance, you send a clear message that you will not tolerate disrespect. This strategy can significantly impact the dynamics of the interaction and help re-establish your personal space. Ultimately, understanding the importance of posture and nonverbal communication is a crucial step towards self-awareness and self-assertion. Learning to control your body language can be as impactful as learning to say no. Not only does this help you express your intentions better, but it also strengthens your presence and ensures that your needs are recognized and respected. Step 4. The impact of silence as a response. Silence is a powerful response that we often underestimate. In situations of conflict or provocation, choosing not to respond immediately can be an effective strategy. Silence can create a space that allows the other person to reflect on their actions rather than react impulsively. This pause can invite reflection for both you and those around you. When you refuse to engage in a verbal confrontation, you are in fact asserting your emotional control. Silence can be perceived as a form of resistance and strength. It communicates that you are not willing to be swayed by provocation or manipulation. This approach can destabilize those who try to test your limits, as the expectation is often that the person will react emotionally. Moreover, silence can serve as a tool to reaffirm your boundaries. Instead of getting involved in discussions that could lead to a cycle of disrespect, you use silence to show that you are not willing to tolerate inappropriate behavior. This attitude may prompt others to reconsider how they interact with you, as they will realize that their provocations are ineffective. It is important to remember that silence is not a form of weakness, but rather a conscious choice. It can demonstrate self-control and serve as a way to protect your emotional space. In moments of tension, this option can be more effective than a hasty verbal response, which may exacerbate the situation. Silence allows you to remain calm and make more deliberate decisions. Finally, understanding the impact of silence as a response is a skill that can be developed. Practicing this strategy in everyday situations can help reinforce your confidence and your ability to maintain clear boundaries. When used intentionally, silence can be a powerful ally in building respectful and healthy relationships, demonstrating that your space deserves to be honored. Step 5. The strategy of not reacting to provocations. One of the most valuable skills we can develop is the ability to not react to provocations. Often people who test our limits expect an emotional response, a reaction that confirms their influence over us. By choosing not to react, we send a clear message that we are not willing to engage in that game. This strategy not only protects our peace of mind, but also demonstrates a firm and assertive stance. The first step in applying this strategy is to recognize provocations. These can include sarcastic comments, criticisms, or attempts at emotional manipulation. Once you identify what is happening, you can consciously decide how to respond. This does not mean ignoring the situation, but rather choosing the best way to handle it without allowing your emotions to dictate the tone of the interaction. Recognizing subtle provocations and emotional abuse. Subtle provocations are like small jabs that often go unnoticed. They can manifest in seemingly harmless comments but are intended to destabilize the other person. It is essential to be aware of these signs, as recognizing them is the first step in protecting yourself from emotional abuse. Often, these provocations come from people who feel threatened or insecure and attempt to diminish others to feel better about themselves. Such emotional abuses can occur in various settings, whether at work, in relationships, or even among friends. Sometimes the person provoking may not be aware of the impact of their words. Therefore, it is important to develop the skill to identify these moments and understand that, although they may seem small, these attacks can have a cumulatively negative effect on someone's self-esteem and emotional well-being. Recognizing subtle provocations is an act of self-care. When you become aware that you are the target of manipulations, you can take steps to protect yourself. This may include setting clear boundaries with the provoking person or simply distancing yourself from the situation. The key is not to let these small provocations accumulate and cause greater harm. Additionally, it is crucial to remember that recognition should not solely be an emotional reaction. It is essential to approach these situations rationally, analyzing the other person's behavior and intentions. Sometimes the intent may not be malicious, but that does not diminish the impact that these comments can have on you. Always maintain clarity in your mind. Finally, practicing self-care and self-assertion can help you deal with these provocations. By strengthening your self-confidence, you become less susceptible to being affected by these subtle abuses. Remember that you deserve respect and that it is important to surround yourself with people who treat you with dignity and consideration. Step 6. The practice of strategic coolness. Strategic coolness is a skill that can be extremely useful in conflict situations. It involves maintaining calm and composure even when faced with provocations or emotional challenges. This posture does not mean being insensitive or indifferent, but rather choosing how to react consciously. By adopting this practice, you place yourself in a position of control, which can disarm provocateurs. When someone tries to provoke an emotional reaction, coolness can be a powerful response. By not demonstrating weakness or desperation, you destabilize the other person's expectation, which anticipated an intense reaction. This strategy can be especially effective in workplaces or relationships where emotional power is often contested. A sense of coolness allows you to be perceived as someone strong and self-assured. Additionally, strategic coolness helps you avoid getting involved in unnecessary arguments. Often, these discussions can escalate into emotional disputes that lead nowhere. By staying calm, you can redirect the conversation towards a more productive path, or even remove yourself from the situation if necessary. This skill acts like armor, protecting your inner peace. It's important to note that coolness should not be confused with a lack of empathy. You can still understand the other person's point of view, but you choose not to be swayed by the moment's emotions. This practice requires training and self-awareness, but the results can be transformative. By becoming more strategically cool, you not only protect yourself but also gain the respect of others. Ultimately, cultivating this skill can lead to a significant increase in your self-confidence. When you feel secure enough not to react emotionally, it reflects in your interactions with others. Strategic coolness isn't about becoming a cold person. It's about becoming someone who controls their reactions and remains steadfast in challenging situations. When someone wrongs us, it's easy to let anger take over and act impulsively. But true strength lies in knowing how to stay calm, handle the situation rationally, and choose what deserves our energy. The question for you is, when was the last time you handled someone who wronged you wisely and calmly? Comment something like, "I choose my peace." Now back to the lesson. Step 7. Building an unshakable presence. An unshakable presence is a trait that conveys strength and confidence. It's the feeling that, regardless of the circumstances, you remain firm and self-assured. To build this presence, you need to work on self-confidence and how others perceive you. This involves both body language and the way you communicate verbally. One effective way to develop this presence is to practice your posture. Maintaining an upright posture, making eye contact with people, and using confident gestures are ways of showing that you are in control of the situation. This nonverbal language communicates security and can influence how others perceive you. When you present yourself with confidence, people are less likely to try to destabilize you. Moreover, an unshakable presence is reinforced by clear and assertive communication. When you express your ideas and feelings directly, others tend to respect your opinions. This doesn't mean being aggressive. It means asserting yourself in a kind and firm manner. This skill is essential for establishing boundaries and effectively dealing with provocations. Practicing meditation and mindfulness can significantly contribute to building this presence. By taking time to connect with yourself and understand your emotions, you become more aware of your reactions. This awareness allows you to remain calm in stressful situations, thereby showing others that you are unshakable. Finally, working on your presence requires time and patience. It's not something that happens overnight, but every step you take towards building this solid presence is worthwhile. By becoming an unshakable person, you not only protect yourself from provocateurs, but also become a source of inspiration and respect for those around you. Step 8. The Stoic mindset and its application in daily life. The Stoic mindset is a philosophy that advocates for resilience and acceptance of circumstances. In everyday life, this means understanding that many things are beyond our control, and that true strength lies in how we react to these situations. This approach can be extremely beneficial when dealing with challenges and emotional trials. One of the key lessons of Stoicism is the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. By focusing only on our actions and reactions, rather than worrying about external factors, we can maintain our peace of mind. This mindset is a powerful antidote to anxiety and frustration, allowing you to face challenges without being shaken. Applying the Stoic mindset in daily life involves practices like reflection and self-analysis. At the end of the day, take a moment to think about what happened and how you reacted. Ask yourself if there were moments when you could have acted differently, or if you let external emotions affect your decisions. This practice of self-awareness is fundamental for personal growth. Additionally, the Stoic mindset teaches the importance of gratitude. Even in challenging situations, there is always something to learn or an opportunity for growth. By cultivating this positive perspective, you become stronger and more prepared to face new challenges. This approach not only enhances your emotional resilience but also influences how you interact with others. In conclusion, Stoic philosophy is a powerful tool for dealing with the realities of life. By adopting this mindset, you become more aware of your emotions and reactions, enabling you to remain steady in the face of adversity. This practice not only strengthens your ability to confront challenges, but also helps you build healthier and more respectful relationships with others. Step 9. Cultivating indifference as a weapon against manipulators. Cultivating indifference can be an effective strategy when dealing with manipulators. Indifference does not mean disinterest or lack of empathy. Rather, it is a conscious choice to not let the actions and words of others affect your emotional state. This stance strengthens your position and reduces the power manipulators have over you. When you become indifferent to attempts at manipulation, you send a clear message that you will not be easily influenced. This can destabilize the manipulator, who often expects their provocations to elicit an emotional response. Indifference acts as a shield that protects your inner peace and allows you to maintain control of the situation. To cultivate this indifference, it's important to understand the motivation behind manipulative behavior. Often, these actions are rooted in insecurity or a need for control. By recognizing this, you can emotionally distance yourself and avoid being swayed by provocations. This understanding helps you build a more rational and less emotional response. Additionally, the practice of indifference involves building a solid self-esteem. When you feel good about yourself and confident in your abilities, attempts at manipulation lose their power. Indifference becomes an extension of that self-confidence, allowing you to confront manipulators with firmness and clarity. Ultimately, cultivating indifference is a continuous process that requires dedication and practice. Over time, you'll notice that you feel less affected by attempts at manipulation, becoming emotionally stronger. This strategy not only protects you from external influences, but also helps you develop healthier and more authentic relationships with those around you. Step 10. Recognizing subtle provocations and emotional abuse. Recognizing subtle provocations and emotional abuse is a fundamental step for personal protection. These provocations often disguise themselves as jokes or innocent comments but aim to undermine a person's self-confidence. Being attentive to these nuances can help identify behavioral patterns that, if not addressed, can escalate into emotional manipulation. Therefore, it's crucial to develop an awareness of how these interactions can affect us. One way to perceive these provocations is to pay attention to others' body language and tone of voice. Often the words may seem harmless, but the way they are delivered can indicate a negative intention. Additionally, the repetition of certain phrases or behaviors should raise a red flag. If you constantly feel devalued or ridiculed, it's time to reevaluate these interactions. Small repeated actions can create a significant impact over time. Another important characteristic is how the person reacts upon recognizing these provocations. Ideally, you should maintain calm and observe the situation clearly. An emotional response, which may be impulsive, often reveals more about our vulnerability than about the provocateur's intention. Therefore, it's vital to develop self-awareness and understand that how you respond to these provocations is a choice. Choosing not to be affected is an act of strength. Moreover, building a support network can be extremely beneficial. Talking to friends or family about these experiences can help validate your perceptions and offer new perspectives. By sharing, you may discover you're not alone, which can provide a sense of relief. Having a safe space to discuss these situations is an important step in dealing with emotional abuse. Finally, recognizing these provocations is just the first step. The next phase involves creating strategies to deal with them. This may include setting clear boundaries in your interactions and practicing assertive responses. Learning to assert yourself in a respectful and firm manner, without aggression, can disarm the provocateur while simultaneously strengthening your self-esteem. Step 11. The practice of strategic coldness. Strategic coldness is a skill that can be developed to handle challenging situations. This practice involves maintaining calm and composure, even when faced with provocations. The idea is not to be swayed by the emotions of the moment, but to act deliberately and in control. This doesn't mean being insensitive, but rather using reason as a guide in interactions. One of the first steps in cultivating this coldness is emotional awareness. Becoming aware of your own emotional reactions allows you to have more control over them. When you understand how you feel in certain situations, it's easier to choose how to react. This clarity can help avoid impulsive responses that may worsen the situation. Training for coldness also involves practicing conscious breathing and relaxation techniques. When you feel challenged or provoked, pausing to focus on your breath can help calm your mind and body. This moment of reflection can provide the clarity needed to respond in a non-reactive way. Regular practice of these techniques can transform how you handle stress. Additionally, strategic coldness benefits from a proactive mindset. Instead of waiting for provocative situations to arise, you can mentally prepare for them. Visualizing possible scenarios and rehearsing how you would like to respond can be a powerful tool. This not only boosts your confidence, but also helps create a mental space where you feel more in control. Finally, the practice of strategic coldness should be balanced with empathy. It's important to remember that while emotional control is essential, we should also be sensitive to others' emotions. This balanced approach can help build healthier and more respectful relationships, even in challenging situations. Thus, coldness is not just a defense mechanism. It's a way to engage with others more consciously. Step 12. Building an unshakable presence. Building an unshakable presence is fundamental to protecting yourself from manipulators and provocateurs. This presence refers to the ability to remain steadfast in your convictions and values, regardless of external circumstances. To develop this quality, it's important to work on self-confidence and self-image. The more secure you feel in yourself, the less vulnerable you will be to provocations. One way to cultivate this presence is through practicing assertive body language. This involves maintaining an open posture, making eye contact, and using gestures that convey confidence. These small changes in your presentation can significantly impact how others perceive you. Furthermore, an assertive posture can influence how you feel internally, promoting a positive cycle of self-confidence. Another strategy is developing effective communication skills. This includes the ability to express your opinions and feelings clearly and directly. When you communicate assertively, you demonstrate that you value your own needs and boundaries. This clarity can discourage manipulative behavior, as others will recognize that you are not an easy target. Working on emotional resilience is also crucial for building an unshakable presence. This means learning to handle difficulties without being shaken. Practices such as meditation and reflection can help strengthen your ability to face challenges. The more resilient you become, the easier it will be to remain calm in conflict situations. Ultimately, building an unshakable presence is an ongoing process. It involves self-knowledge, practice, and a willingness to confront your fears. Over time, this presence will become an intrinsic part of who you are, making it harder for others to affect your emotional state. As you become more unshakable, your interpersonal life tends to improve as well, creating an environment of mutual respect. Step 13. The Stoic mindset and its application in daily life. The Stoic mindset is an ancient philosophy that can be extremely helpful in navigating the challenges of modern life. This approach is based on the idea that we cannot control what happens around us, but we can control how we respond to those situations. The practice of acceptance is key in this context, allowing individuals to face adversities with calmness and clarity. To apply the Stoic mindset in your daily life, start by reflecting on what is truly within your control. Often, we worry excessively about external factors such as others' opinions or unforeseen events. By focusing only on what you can change, you will feel more empowered and less susceptible to unnecessary stress. This practice of discernment helps reduce anxiety and promotes a more balanced life. Another technique is negative visualization, which involves imagining challenging scenarios and how you would react to them. This practice may seem counterintuitive, but it prepares your mind to face difficulties more effectively. When you encounter a tough situation, you will have already reflected on how to handle it, which can lessen the emotional impact. This does not mean being pessimistic, but rather being prepared for life's ups and downs. Additionally, the practice of gratitude is an important component of the Stoic mindset. By recognizing and valuing what you already have, it is possible to cultivate a positive perspective, even in tough times. This shift in focus can help reduce frustration and dissatisfaction, making you more resilient in the face of challenges. Gratitude transforms the way you perceive experiences, fostering a calmer state of mind. Finally, incorporating the Stoic mindset into your daily life requires practice and patience. It is not an instantaneous change, but rather a continuous process of self-discovery and reflection. As you become more aware of your reactions and emotions, your ability to maintain calmness and clarity in challenging situations will increase. This personal transformation not only benefits you, but also positively influences the interpersonal relationships around you. Step 14. Cultivating indifference as a tool. Against manipulators. Cultivating indifference is a powerful strategy for dealing with manipulators. This indifference does not mean disinterest or apathy, but rather the ability to remain unaffected by the provocations and manipulations of others. When you become indifferent to emotional control tactics, manipulators lose their power over you. This is an effective way to regain control over your own life. To develop this indifference, it is important to start recognizing the manipulative tactics being used. This may include criticism, belittling, or attempts to provoke guilt. By identifying these behaviors, you can emotionally distance yourself from them. A helpful approach is emotional detachment, which involves understanding that the actions of others do not define your worth or your emotions. The practice of indifference also involves strengthening your self-esteem. The more secure you feel about yourself, the less vulnerable you will become to manipulation attempts. Working on self-affirmation and self-care can help build this foundation. When you feel good about yourself, the opinions and actions of others have less impact on your emotional state. Moreover, creating a protected emotional space is essential in the practice of indifference. Now that you've absorbed these powerful lessons, it's time to reflect. How can you apply this Stoic wisdom in your daily life? Each interaction is an opportunity to demonstrate your value and command respect without raising your voice. Think about the situations where you let yourself be provoked. What if next time you simply breathe and remain calm? Remember, true strength lies in your ability not to react. As you move forward on this journey, remember that you are not alone. Share your experiences in the comments. What challenges have you faced while trying to set your boundaries? How do you feel now knowing you can change this dynamic? If you enjoyed this content, like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more insights that will transform your perspective on the world. You have the ability to become the best version of yourself, and change begins now. Remember, every step you take toward self-respect is a step toward emotional freedom. Go ahead and see you next time.